Okay, so I want to say hi and I want to say welcome once again to another video. This is a tutorial of the way I personally make music on FL Studio. Okay, in FL Studio software, this software here. And what I'm going to take you through on this first tutorial, basically, is just making a basic melody. Okay, so once you've opened up FL Studio, once you've installed it on your computer system, the first thing you're going to see is this here, and you're going to notice from this interface. Okay, now from the left to right we have this bar. Okay, it goes from left to right, and you can see here we have things here. You can turn these off and on by clicking on them. These are the tracks, and what you usually do is you set up patterns. Okay, so for example, okay, I'll just take you through this. Okay, basically we play the music by hitting the play button up here. When I click up here, if you can see, I click play, that goes along. Okay, so it's playing there. If I click here, if I click actually here, don't click anywhere here, just on this top bar. Can you see the numbers here, like 1? It goes along. This is a bar here. Okay, this bar, click at the top here, so you get this visible. Now press play, and it's just going to loop at the moment because it's looping basically for the space of one pattern, which is currently set to 8 bars. Okay, so I won't confuse you too much with that, but we'll press stop up here. You can press stop, so you've got play or stop. Okay, and you can also drag that back and forth. The reason we can't go further anymore right now is because it's set to one pattern. Now let me explain to you what patterns are. If you go over here and look, you can see what I've just highlighted, this thing here. You don't usually need to click on this for the most part, although you can, you know. And it says pattern 1. You can name these, and you can color these as well for to be easier to find on your eyes. But you have this bar that goes from left to right, and from top to bottom. Okay, here we have like a massive, I don't know how, I think it goes up to, I don't know, hundreds of tracks that you can have. Okay, so you can have basically patterns and tracks. What's the difference on this timeline, which goes from left to right, this timeline bar? We have tracks that can be these tracks that go down, and then you have like as I say, patterns. What is a pattern? Well, first of all, let's make one, and I'll show you. The first thing you want to do is make a new pattern, but we don't need to, because when you open up the software you already have one. So just now I was clicking here at the top of the bar here, very top here, this black part. If I click here on a track, anywhere in any track, you'll see it's creating empty patterns. They're just totally empty. There's no musical instruments, there's no sounds in them or anything. We've not programmed that in. Now basically you can click and hold, and you can move them around. Okay, and every time you click you place another one. Okay, you place a pattern. It says pattern 1. What you usually do is you'll work on a track. So for example, you'll have patterns set up along here, and then that may have sounds in that. You may have, let's say, a trumpet sound, or drums, or within one pattern you can also have various instruments. So I could have a trumpet and a guitar, or 2 kinds of drum if I wanted to. So do you understand me? In one pattern, okay, one of these patterns, okay, basically we'll drag it all the way up to track 1, where we should be at the top, and it plays left to right. Okay, the bar will play through the pattern, you see. So when I press play, it's playing through that, which is 8 bars. Each block here as such is set to 8 bars. Now inside one of these patterns will be a rhythm or a melody that you've made, a tune basically, from your instrument. So if I choose a trumpet, then I make a little melody or a little tune that lasts this length of time, which is here from when the bar moves from here to here, okay, and you'll see the time up the top here, at the top of the screen. Look at the top here, follow my mouse, look here, we have the time. So when this bar moves across here, you can see at the top of the screen here, you see 0.01.38. That's the time. It's like 1 second or whatever, you know. Please excuse me. So when I press play, it loops. Okay, it loops this. It just loops it, which is very handy. Okay, you don't have to make it loop. You can unclick this button here, this on the left of the play, and when you press that, it will, you know, it will stop. Maybe. Hang on. I don't usually do. Usually I just leave it on loop, so don't worry about that. Okay, don't touch anything else for now at all. And one more important thing I want to mention: when we go over here, can you see this little thing here, this drop down box or drop down menu? Make sure that it's set to cell. Okay, cell. That's pretty important. That's what I usually have. Okay. The reason being so that things snap up okay, and you don't have problems where it kind of cuts halfway, and like that's very natural, like if you're playing a real guitar or playing real music, you know. But to snap perfectly in the right timing, keep it on cell. Okay, this is something that confused me a while back, and I'm happy I found out what that was about. So you got the timeline here, you got the tracks going down, and then you got these patterns. When you start up the program, the software, you'll have a brand new pattern called pattern 1. If you look here, there's a little drop down menu on just beside the P on pattern here. You can go down and do things such as rename and color, see, or change color. If I change color, I can choose like blue, and now it's blue or purple. See, rename, I can just change the name of that pattern to whatever. For example, trumpet tune. You know, when I make another pattern, such as if I go to add at the top here, go to add, okay, and then you can see I have a lot of things, but your one may not look like this with so many things, but it's the same kind of thing. Go to add, the third one on the list at the top here, add, go across and click on pattern. You see pattern here, and it makes a new pattern. It automatically will ask you to give a name, or you can click here to choose a color, and you can just choose a color, which is something I think I should do in future. I'm not going to give it a name. I could type a name in here, but I'm not going to do that. Once you're done, just press enter on the keyboard, or just click on the tick. Now that's done. Now from here on the left hand side, you can see very clearly I can just choose these just to lay down which ones I want to lay down. Okay. Don't worry that you can see the one you've actually selected. Okay, when I've actually selected a when I've actually selected a pattern, you'll see that it sometimes it will become red. If I choose this, let's see, the last one I've laid down will be red, but when I click away from there, it will just leave. That one will turn its original normal color. Don't worry about this, it's not important. If you accidentally lay down a new pattern like this, a pattern, you see if I press, it will keep laying down pattern 1, always pattern 1. And if you want pattern 2, you should go over here and click on that, or whatever pattern you want to lay down, drums, guitar, whatever you've named it, or whatever, you know. Or you can go to here at the top here. Can you see this here? Here, this drop down menu, and I can just choose another one, okay, such as pattern 1, or click on it, and you know it will show the different patterns. I think the reason it's not giving me a choice at the top here is because I've not added any musical instruments or sounds in, and I know this may be pretty boring for you now, but you must understand these, okay, these points right now. Also, if you watch what I'm doing here, this bar at the top here, you can drag this bar by not moving the bar across. You can do this as well. You can click on the bar and move the bar to see where you're going. If you need to see further down here, and let's say for example this timeline is you know going on for so far, like now I have so many patterns here, and you can put these neatly together here. Please excuse me. Yes, you can put these neatly together, like side by side, you know, and follow the pattern. But what I'm trying to, like here, see for example, not halfway into each other because they'll mess up. Make sure they're like snapped nice and neatly. Okay, and like that. Okay. Now, if you want to see clearly, like you can zoom in. You can click on the edge of this bar here. Click on the edge part and hold and stretch it, and you'll see now it zooms in, so we can clearly see, and we can click along here and work. So this is halfway into the bar, let's say, you see. And we can see clearly it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars across. Okay, so one pattern currently is set to 8 bars, and it will loop whatever I have playing on here. Okay, so if I press play, if I press play at the top here, on here, see press play or pause, it will play through everything. Okay, here. And remember what I've told you. What is a pattern? A pattern should not really be regarded as a whole song, but it's not one note and it's not one instrument. It can be as simple as just one note, or it can be as complex as so many instruments put together and melodies and tunes. You could make a whole song within a pattern. The only problem is it would be very, very simple. Very simple. The idea of these patterns is to make chunks that you can work with, and pieces where you can move them around. Okay. So you want to move your tune, your melody of this trumpet. You want to move that down later on in the song, and you want to have drums in the beginning. You can put another pattern here, you see, and it carries all of that. It carries all the information, all of the rhythm, the tune, the melody. You don't have to individually put those notes in again, or even copy and paste. But this brings me on to another point. How do we erase a pattern? Very important. If we don't want to move it around, how do we erase it first? Simply right click on your mouse, right click. So left click to paste one, to put one, and then right click to erase. Now, let's say for example I'm on pattern 1. Okay, over here I click on pattern 1, and let's say or from the drop down menu here, if you may have a lot of patterns, but let's say I do. Okay, let's say I have pattern 1 selected, and every time I click it's going to put pattern 1. Okay, now let's say I click on pattern 2 and I lay a pattern 2 down. Okay, here, so we have 1, 1, 2. Okay, I can put this just beside it here, or I can put it on in another sequence. We can see clearly the colours as well. The name's different, and also the colour, because I coloured it in the beginning. And you can change them again, don't forget, by clicking this little drop down thing beside the P on pattern. But you can also put these in different places, like different time on the timeline, different places, and also on another track. So remember, like I said, so we have the blues, the reds, maybe yellow here, whatever. We have different things. So trumpet. So the first one maybe trumpets, the second one maybe drums, the third one guitars, or maybe we have a mixture. We can have like multiple instruments in either of these. Okay, so trumpet and guitar, and then this one could be drums and flute or whatever, or different sounds. You know, you can even have voices and stuff. You know, vocals. But usually I'll record the vocals and the voices on a different track. Okay, like these are tracks, don't forget. If you ever want to listen to your music back that you're making, and just hear, for example, only the drums, or if track 1 or pattern 1, this blue one, if this was for drums, then I would turn off. You see, by clicking this little light, this little point here, I would turn off the other tracks accordingly, and just hit play at the start here, and that will play that. And the same for other tracks too. If I want to just hear this, I'll just do that. Okay. So that's the basics of the timeline, okay, and the tracks here, okay. So once you got that set up, okay, once you do have that set up, once you understand that, that's a good point. Now that's what I'm saying. So now if you look here on the left of the screen here, if I'm clicking pattern 2, just click once, okay. If you click twice, if you click again, if you click, it will bring this up. You don't want that yet, okay, so we'll turn that off for now. But you'll see it's track 2. I'm just laying lots of track 2, pattern, so pattern 2, I'm clicking pattern 2, and I want to, let's say now I want to make a copy. I simply click on track 1. When I click on one of these, if I click on another track, for example, if I move my mouse cursor over track 1, pattern 1, please excuse me, pattern 1, okay, pattern 1. If I move my mouse cursor over pattern 1 and click anywhere, it will give me pattern 1. Everyone is pattern 1. But if I click on pattern 2, it will make lots of pattern 2s. So you don't have to go up here and go edit, copy, and then edit, paste. You don't need, I can do that. I can go edit, copy, edit, paste, and make that. But I don't have to. If I want to make replicas of anything here, copies, I just simply click on one of them, click on pattern 1, and then after I click once, anywhere I click will be pattern 1. If I want to get pattern 2, I just simply go to pattern 2, click it, that's left click, okay, same thing, and then anywhere I click, it's going to give me pattern 2, okay. To delete, you simply press the right mouse key, or you can hold it down and hover over everything and erase, okay, and that's the same for notes as well as patterns, and we'll look at notes later on, okay. Now I want to say something very important here. If you go over here and look here, you have to look, I know it's kind of hard and small looking at these small icons, okay, but I want to just say quickly, I want to say if you go here, if currently it's set to this paintbrush, can you see we have this little arrow, we have a magnet which says snap to grid, then we also have this draw button, this draw, and we also have a little paintbrush. You'll see the information up here, the information in this bar here updates while I'm hovering over anything, you see, it hovers over, the information changes, you see. So now it says draw. If you look at the information up here, when I go to this pencil, it says draw. You see the pencil here. If I go to this side now, it's a paintbrush, and that's what we want selected. So we select that so it becomes blue. And now when I hold my left mouse button down, I can simply paint them along. Paint lots of them, you see, paste them all on like I'm painting them along, you see. Remember, if you can't see further down this timeline bar, just click on this bar here at the top and move across to find what you're looking for, or go to the edge of it, left click on the edge and stretch left or right to zoom in or out, and you can get a much better view of everything, okay? We're not changing the speed or the time, we're just moving the visual of so what we can see, like we're zooming in and out, okay, by dragging this along. And as I say, this is the timeline bar here too, which plays through the line. Okay. Now I also want to say we're going to look at something else. Okay. So bear with me, please bear with me. Okay, I've just had to restart this. Okay, because I had some trouble there. Basically, we're just going to look at this again. Okay, and we're just going to see what we can do. Okay, I want to say please bear with me for a moment, okay, bear with me for one moment, because I've had some issues with my interface. I don't know what that's about, but we've had some just then I had some trouble with my interface. I don't know what that was about. There was like something going on with some white marking appearing here, but it's okay. I think it's gone now, so that's okay. So let's go back to what I'm saying though, okay, so if we have a pattern, okay, and I have this paintbrush selected here, up here, I can simply click and hold and then move whatever it's laid down after one click and hold and then motion of, so I click, hold, move the mouse to make a selection, like I've created 5 here, and now anywhere I click it just moves them together as one piece. Now if I want to just move one of these, what do? I can't, well, firstly I need to click somewhere else. I need to click somewhere else or click on another pattern, and if you do, don't worry, if you do that, it will deselect all of those ones. Now you can just simply right click and delete the one you just left. Any ones you don't want like that, delete that. Now you can move an individual piece. Okay, now if you press and hold and now you want to paint, it's not going to work. You need to let go and you need to click again. Okay, click in an empty space and then do it. Okay, so you need to practice this, the painting. But just remember that you have these 2 tools, okay, and you practice with them, the paintbrush and the pen, which is basically just set to that. And what that allows you to do, the pencil, is just add one at a time, and when you click and hold, it's automatically just going to move it. Okay, but you want to use both. You'll definitely want to use the paintbrush. If you find that your music is out of timing or something, it may be because you have it in a wrong setting, like this for example. You need to make sure that everything is matched up here. You can see that it's clearly marked for you. They have stronger lines here to mark where it's 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes per se, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 along here, and it's always they're bars of 8. Now let me show you another feature. If I lay down a pattern, we just have one pattern by the way for now. If I just lay down one pattern and I go to the left side of it, to the edge, okay, the right edge, the right hand edge of this, okay, the right hand side edge, I can click with my left mouse button and hold, and I can drag it longer. So now we have a bigger piece. This is one pattern, okay. Usually they're set to this, okay, so 8 bars, but you can set them longer. You can make it very long. I can make this very long if I wanted to. Look how big that is. And I love the way that, when I drag this along here, I love the way that you can see the colour, like it gives you lighter blue here, darker blue, lighter blue, darker blue on these bars going down, and that shows you it's just more easy to, it's an easier way to see things. So working with these lines and then the colour, you can visually see. So try to be as visual as possible too. With this bar here, you can zoom in and out. Don't forget to find exactly where you are. So if your song sounds wrong and it's like halfway like that or in the middle, you can move it across, move it back to the right place, unless that's what you're going for, a certain sound. Okay, so that's that. Let's look at some more features that I use. Okay, you don't want to go to this one. Don't click on mute. Whatever you do, mute, because it will mute. See the information here on the bar. Don't forget, hovering over the things here. Don't click on mute. That will turn the sound off. Now this one over here, we're jumping across slightly. This slice button. The slice is a knife, right? It looks like a knife. You get the idea. You click on slice and then go across, okay, and now you see that the mouse cursor changes into an image of a knife. So when you hover over a certain area, you can slice part of that off and it splits. Just click with the left mouse button and then you just cut down or whatever, and it will slice this up. So now I've just literally sliced, I have just sliced one pattern into four individual mini patterns now basically. So if I zoom in, if I go to this bar and pull it across to the left and zoom in, you can see now we have 4 of these. It's not copies, these are parts. Okay, I cut this up into parts. So regardless of if this was one melody, I've just cut this up into pieces. I may want to go over here and click my pencil again, or my paintbrush, either way. And I may choose a piece of this and just copy it and paste it. I may want to move the start to the end if I wanted to, and move everything along and just change things around, if I wanted to. If you find things are not fitting right, okay, like this, if you look carefully here, you can see there's a gap. That's got nothing to do with my splitting and slicing. You may realise that things are not matching up properly and you want to put it in the right timing. and you don't understand why, because if you go over here at the top you'll see it says cell. Okay, I've set it to cell, it's on cell, and that's correct. You want cell, you want it to be on cell so they snap into the right place. Well, there's two ways around this. Okay, there's the easy way and the hard way, the easier way and the harder way. If this happens, it's like a glitch I find, is you can click on this bar here and zoom it out to the left, and you'll notice that the further you zoom in, sometimes you can rearrange and arrange things, you know, and put them in the right place, but it's not working this time either. So what you want to usually do is simply delete these by right clicking, delete the clip, you know, and then repaste one with the left, or if that's not working, move it across. Just try different things, paste and paste again. You see, now it's got it right. So it's just a case of deleting and repasting them in the exact same place. Okay, if you're having trouble, just move it somewhere else and then move it back in, and you'll realise they paste them in the right place. It's just a glitch that sometimes happens, but if you listen to your music and a certain part of the song sounds weird, like out of timing, and you don't know why, when you've got cell selected up here, cell, and that's the problem, that's the reason. So don't end up getting too wound up and deleting your stuff. Go in and move stuff. Now how about if we have multiple patterns or pieces of patterns and we have multiple blocks like this, and we want to move these blocks around? Well, don't worry, because you can click on this thing here. Look at this tool to the right of the slice tool here. It's a select tool. Click on this, it's like a little target. Click on that. Now when you click, okay, you can hover over and you can left click with the mouse and hover across and select everything, and now everything's selected. Or you can click out of that, click anywhere else out, just click once, and that will deselect everything. So let's say I want to select two of these pieces. I can click with the left mouse and move across, and there they are. Let go of the mouse and they're selected. If I want to deselect, I'll just click somewhere else. Okay, so here and then maybe here. Don't click on a pattern, because that will select the individual pattern. Click somewhere else if you can. If you can't find space, then use the mouse wheel to scroll down, up or down here, this whole thing right through the tracks. Now I can click outside in an empty space and hover across, and it will select these. Okay, we'll select them when you hover over them. That's another way. Okay, so these are some very important features. If you click on this drawer over here, just to the left of the paintbrush tool, if you go to the left, and you'll see a drawer button, that will allow you to click with the left mouse button, pasting patterns. Okay, and the right mouse button is the same. You erase, and I can hold it down to erase over everything. It's like the reverse of a paintbrush when you erase like that. But when you have this drawer, okay, this pencil drawer, it only allows you to click once. So I can't hold it and paint. You see, it's quite important to understand this still, because if I click here and make a pattern, and I'm selecting the pencil tool here, the drawer, then when I click on that and then I move along, it's going to drag it and move it. Okay, it's not going to paint lots of them, okay, like that. If you have the paintbrush here, the paintbrush selected, and you click once and hold, it's going to paint. Now having said that, I can click on any one of these, you see now, and it's going to move all of them with the left mouse button still. Okay, so that's the paintbrush selected, so I'm just dragging everything. Okay, now having said that, within any pattern that any track here and any pattern, I can click on one and drag it with my left mouse, if that makes sense. You're going to need to practice this to understand. The left mouse, I can move one of these. Okay, okay, so let's show you that again. Okay, let's just delete all of that. It doesn't matter which pattern we've got, 1 or 99. If I click on the paintbrush tool and I click once, and then hold my left mouse button and still drag along, then there we go. Okay, now if I click on anywhere, you can see that they're all red, they're all selected, they're coloured red, and it's pattern 1, and they all got like a deep red. And if I click on any part of this, you can see clearly it's 4 patterns, right? 4 copied patterns in a sequence, snapped properly, because we selected cell up here, don't forget, so they're snapped properly. When I move this across, it's going to drag anywhere I click within this. It's going to drag the whole thing anywhere. I can move it down the tracks, I can move it along. Okay, but if I click anywhere else, it's going to basically just make another one, you see, of the same pattern that I've got selected either from here or from the left side. Okay, now let's go back, let's erase everything for 1 second. I'm going to explain this. The controls are very important. Okay, so hold on 1 second. Oh, hold on, we'll be with you. Okay, hold on, we'll be with you in a minute. So, okay, I want to say hi again, everybody. I want to say I just had some trouble there. I was making a clip for you guys, and I actually lost my sound, so I'm going to have to remake that clip for you very quickly there and just explain a few things to you. Okay, so basically, once you've learned how to work with these patterns, okay, another thing you can do is, let's say I want to zoom in with the camera. I can click here and drag and move this and zoom in and out, as you know. But another way to zoom in would be to go over here to this. Okay, so when I've got everything, okay, basically whatever my setup is and however I've got it arranged, I can zoom in with my this here, okay, this magnifying glass, zoom. Click on that. You can click on that and just zoom in, or you can right click on that and go down. I like to go to zoom 3, quick zoom 3, and it will zoom in very clearly, and you can, like, you know, still drag this in and out, and that's another way of zooming. Okay, let me just mention one more time. Okay, once you've used the select tool, this one to the left of that, the select tool, when you've highlighted everything with the left mouse and then let go after, so you hold it and select everything, let go, then you click back on the pencil and you can move the whole chunk around, don't forget. Okay, if you want to just select one piece, you can just click somewhere else. It may lay a pattern down, don't worry, right click and delete that, then go and choose your individual piece, left click and hold, and just move that around to another position. Okay, so that's the basics there. I'm going to make this, we're going to come to the end of this video now. So we've covered most of these tools here, okay, from left to right, and I'm really hoping that this video has turned out okay sound wise, especially in these videos, because I'm really talking about the sound. I mean, I'm really, it's a music software, right? I'm not singing now. But yeah, basically in the next video we're going to be starting looking at the four most fundamental, the four things we'll be using most of the time in this software. Okay, and those are, if you look at this bar at the top, these things at the top here that I'm hovering over with my mouse, the second one along, the second, third, fourth and fifth. So if we ignore the first one and we just go to 1, 2, 3, 4, they all have their uses, but you know, 1, 2, 3 and 4, so the second one up to the fifth one, those 4 are the ones you've got to get used to using, okay, because those are the ones that we're going to be using mostly to find our musical instruments, to put the special effects in, to lay out our whole song, including everything, the volumes, the effects. Those 4 things there are basically the body of our music, but the patterns are just pieces of that, okay, and that's what I've showed you in this video, the patterns and how to move from left to right on the timeline, which we're going to play your song. Your whole song will be played in here, and you'll have the different tracks as I've shown you from top to bottom here, which are like basically channels where everything's played through with these effects and everything. but all the controls for all of it, and all of the instruments and everything are in up here. That's where you're going to find it, up here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 and 4. When you click on one of these, you'll see a thing come up, so like for example like that. But if you don't want to see that, don't worry, you just click elsewhere. Click on the top bar is what I would do. If you see something come up and you don't want it there, a quick way is just to click somewhere else, you know, or as I say, just click back on the same one up there. So clicking these bars with the left mouse multiple times will just turn it off or on. Okay, so that's that one. We've got this one. It looks kind of similar, so don't get confused at first, right? This one and this and this are different. So this one's the view channel rack. This is the channel rack. You can see there's some instruments set up there already. Kick, clap, hat, snare. You can see some instruments in here, right? So we're adding instruments in to a pattern, basically. But then this is the piano roll, where you add all of your notes in. Okay, now this one is basically all of your instruments, where all your sounds are in here. I'm scrolling of the mouse wheel within this thing here. Okay, this one, the fourth one along, but it's the third one of the 4 that we're going to use mainly. Left click again to turn it off, and then this last one here, it comes up like that. It may not be open at first. You may need to drag it down by going and dragging that open here. But this is basically all of your channels. I can even double click on any of these windows to make it a full thing there, and it also can be scrolled along. And this, you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is also, even though it's from left to right, these are your channels basically. These are your tracks basically. Tracks. So for on here we have tracks going top to bottom on the main timeline, but left to right. But this thing here is the 5th one along, is the 4th one we're using, is the all of the tracks, but they're they're visually displayed from left to right. So track 1 here, or track 2, track 3, track 4. What these are is essentially you're selecting these tracks here. See, 1, 2. That's what you're doing. These from top to bottom, and the song plays from left to right, obviously. But what you're doing is, when you got this up here, see, this is what it is, and the M just stands for master, which controls everything. So if I wanted to have the overall volume of the whole song, or a special effect that covers everything, then I'll have that effects set up here on the right. You see it says slot 1, slot 2, for example, and you add different effects in. But you do that for these individual tracks, and you have different instruments playing through them, or a whole, you know, I think you can have whole patterns too. Anyway, I'm not too sure, but I'm going to stop this one here and say thanks a lot for watching, and see you in the next one. In the next video we're going to actually start to work with some of these like how to add sounds in and make music. Okay. So see you in the next video. This is a very long music tutorial. I've made 2 music tutorials in depth here, not showing you any music at all, just showing you some of the basic controls of the software and my thoughts and stuff. Thanks for watching.